So for me, it was pornography. And every 3 months, I would end up having this like weird porn binge. And so I would have this binge for like, let's say, an hour. And then all of a sudden, the next day, I would feel like crap. And the next day, I would feel a little less like crap. So it would linger for almost like 3, 4 days where there was less certainty in who I was. And I would really let it affect me. Heart exercise, that was so calming. I remember I just did it and I felt like, wow, I feel good. Like I feel like this is the calmest I've ever been. So just like little key things here and there that's added to my arsenal that's been massive in terms of making me a more centered, grounded. I don't beat myself up.
Today's video is about something that is not discussed as often as it should be in entrepreneurship and business circles, and that topic is addictions. More specifically, porn addictions. The impact they have on people, the impact they have on the relationships that we have, as well as the impact they have on our relationship with ourselves. Today's video is about Mo. Mo is not a regular guy. Mo is a multi-six-figure business owner. He's very successfully grown multiple companies to 6 figures. And Mo came to me with this problem. And in his words, he was like, yeah, I'm sick of riding the roller coaster of indulging in my habit, judging myself for engaging in that habit, feeling the guilt, feeling the shame, falling down, and then willing myself back up again. It's almost a cycle where my brain wants me to do that. It's very vulnerable of him. It's very brave of him to share that. But quite frankly, the level to which we're able to grow our businesses and meet our clients is also the level to which we're willing to go to meet ourselves and to face ourselves. I hope you enjoy the video. Mo, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing amazing this morning. Calm.
All right, Mo. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, how about we sort of zoom out, we reverse back, and tell us a little bit about how things were prior to whatever we did.
Yeah, I think before we started working together, initially I reached out because I used to have this one urge, addiction, bad habit regularly come up every 2, 3 months. I would go a long time without it. And of course, quote unquote, better than the average person, but it would still show up every single, it was like almost quarterly, no matter what, it would always show up. We had talked before. I had a good connection with you the first time that we talked. And so I just knew that it's something that I wanted to overcome, something that I wanted to fix. And yeah, I reached out and I said, I need help with this. I can't do this on my own. Why would I want to do it on my own, right? So yeah, decided to reach out to you, and that was the first initial contact.
So there's a lot of people struggling with all forms of addiction nowadays. The biggest one being social media, food, and then we even have positive addictions, like people are addicted to working out. I've been one of those people where I'd had an unhealthy addiction to working out, an unhealthy addiction to eating clean or eating a certain way. And so how was the addiction, or how do you think addictions were impacting the rest of your life? Personal life, professional life?
It was impacting me because when you, at least for me, personally speaking, when you partake in a behavior that is outside of your personal values, it makes you less certain and confident in yourself as a person the next day. And I would find myself every 3 months. Can I say what the habit was? Or
Sure. Go.
So for me, it was pornography. And every 3 months, I would end up having this like weird porn binge. And so I would have this binge for like, let's say, an hour. And then all of a sudden, the next day, I would feel like crap. And the next day, I would feel a little less like crap. So it would linger for almost like 3, 4 days where there was less certainty in who I was, and I would really let it affect me. And of course, I'd work on this a lot, so much so that I, completely got it out of, my daily life, because I used to have the addiction be like a daily thing, sometimes 2 times a day thing. But still, Every single quarter was showing up. And it got to a point where I was like, I have not gotten rid of this by myself. I need help. So I'm not going to do it by myself. Why would I want to do it by myself? Like, I think it's the wrong thinking. All of your problems were not created in social isolation. So why would you think that you can get out of them in social isolation by yourself? So, yeah, that was kind of like my thought process around really trying to hone in and fix this.
All right, so it's interesting you say that, and thank you for being so authentic and transparent about it. I mean, you know, you're in the space and you've done some pretty big things. You've been in the dating industry. You're now in the productivity and performance industry, and like a lot of people think that, you know, regular people have these problems. Anybody who's you know, somewhat successful is not going to have these problems. For whatever reason, we have this perception of businessmen and entrepreneurs being almost superheroes. And I like the fact that you're sort of shattering this facade that's there, that a lot of people, you know, project in terms of being absolutely perfect. So thank you for that. Let's talk about how we met. Why'd you end up working with me? What was that like? What factored into your decision? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it was easy for me to make that decision because we had met prior, just through, you know, Facebook, having conversations because we're in the same space. And just off of our initial conversation, I thought you were a very open, authentic, like honest person. And yeah, I just like the vibe, man. And when I realized like, okay, I need some outside external help, it was just, you were the first person in my mind because, you know, it just made sense. We had that connection already. So I knew that you had been helping a lot of your clients. I wanted to get external help. So it was just, boom, matched up.
So it's interesting that you say that because you just said we're relatively different now, but you know, a while ago we were pretty much doing exactly the same thing. And I recall connecting with you and sending you a message and be like, hey man, I'm not about being adversaries. So if you'd like to connect and exchange, and you were like, absolutely, me neither. And so the reason I'm sharing this is for the viewers, because a lot of my clients, I don't know about yours, tend to get very adversarial the moment they see competition, the moment they see somebody else who's in the same space. And I'm like, it doesn't serve you. It just puts you into that threat mode. And then you're too busy defending yourself from competition instead of just focusing on growing. And I'm glad to see our relationship worked out. And, you know, I was actually able to add value to your life and you to mine, because there's a lot of things I've consulted you on for my business. And so that's the message I want to send out. I think you're pretty much saying the same thing, like get help, but I want to say get help and stop being threatened by people around you, even if they're doing exactly the same thing. We attract our own tribe. All right. So tell us a little bit about what the experience was like working with me. I mean, you're still working with me, but what's the experience been like so far?
Very good. I mean, you're pretty easy to get a hold of, which I really enjoy, being able to just have that direct, I guess, Q&A or feedback. One thing that I really, really enjoyed about working with you and still enjoy about working with you is just like very clear steps. It's like, all right, for the next month, every single day, do X, Y, Z. And just having that accountability to specific steps that you can take on a daily basis was huge. So yeah, that's been the biggest thing, is just having that like accountability, having the very clear next steps that I needed to take every single day to see progress. I don't know what the question was again. I completely forgot, but hopefully that answered it.
So the question is, what was the experience like? What is the experience of working with me been like in terms of the stuff I've had you do, in terms of the breakthroughs you've had, and so on and so forth? I think you did a good job addressing. If you want to add something, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a few things as well. Like I think I realized when we did the forgiveness exercise, I'm like, holy crap, I've been holding on to a lot of stuff, a lot of resentment. Because when I did the forgiveness exercise, around the first week of just thinking of different people, there was definitely some tears shed. And I realized that within my body, I had still been holding on to some stuff. So that was huge. And also just, I did the forgiveness exercise on myself as well. And just forgiving myself was a huge step. And then the heart exercise, that was so calming. I remember I just did it and I felt like, wow, I feel good. Like I feel like this is the calmest I've ever been. So just like little key things here and there that's added to my arsenal that's been massive in terms of making me a more centered, grounded, and calm person.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common occurrence amongst entrepreneurs where we may forgive everybody else, but we don't forgive ourselves. I've experienced that in my life. I tend to still be my harshest critic. I still tend to judge myself because I'm a work in progress. And so if we can learn to sort of let go and just go with the flow and just allow ourselves to feel and just work through the resistance, it just makes everything else a lot easier.
Yeah.
Instead of the constant criticism. You and I share somewhat similar backgrounds. And I think a lot of people in the space share the same practice. Like it's linked to our drive to do more in life. It's almost linked. All right, cool. So that was a brief glimpse of the results. So now, what sort of results did you experience? So now we've talked about what it was like and what you enjoyed. What sort of results did you experience?
Yeah, so I remember, it's funny that you asked that, because when I first started doing the exercises, I almost reverted in the results, right? Because there was so much internal resistance to change. And I knew what was happening too, because I see this with my clients, right? So I'm like, oh, this is the exact same thing. It's just happening to me. So there was a lot of internal change, but again, once just having that accountability, pushing through it, doing the exercises, one of the biggest results that I've gotten is realizing that I'm not perfect. And when I quote unquote mess up, I don't feel the same emotional cycles that I used to have, which is like, crap, I feel down on myself, not clear, not confident, not certain in who I am, and then it would linger for 3-4 days just into my internal happiness. And then it would take a few days to try to bring myself back up. So it almost linger like 2 weeks, which is not good for business, which is not good for your personal life, which is not good for your relationships. So now it's almost like no matter what happens, whether I'm perfect and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or not perfect and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, my emotional state line is just, okay, cool. How can we move on? I'm not lingering in the past. I'm not looking into the past. I'm looking into, okay, what can I do right now? And what can I do in the future? And so that was huge for me, because it's not when you remove all of the resistance, and you know, one of the things that you said as well is like, when you remove a huge portion of the importance that you attach to it, then there's no fight anymore. There's no resistance anymore, right? And so there's no fight anymore. And when there's no fight anymore, you can make clear decisions. You're not emotionally reacting. So that was a huge thing for me. That was a massive result of just like not always emotionally reacting to certain things I'm doing or not doing, and so on and so forth. But also, like I mentioned, just like the forgiveness aspect of forgiveness and forgiveness of other people, just a lot of baggage was let go. That like huge backpack I was holding on to that was 50 pounds to walk around with, it was just like gone.
All right. So the next question is related to what you just said. So you told us about the results that you've experienced. How have these results impacted other areas of your life? Your personal life, your business, your relationships, your health, other things in life. How has your life changed since then?
I don't beat myself up. Like, you know, I think a lot of people, even some of the people I work with, like they wake up and they don't, if they're not perfect, 10 out of 10, they end up just beating themselves and, you know, talking to themselves in a way that they would never talk to anybody else on the planet ever. And so I think this is just like a human issue, right? But yeah, I just don't beat up myself anymore. Like it's a different reality. It's a different experience, daily experience, where there isn't as much of a fight. And one of the things that I also realized is I always considered myself resilient, a fighter. And because I had been stuck to that identity for so long, I created fights in my own life to always fight. You know, you mentioned something, it's like you're too much in your warrior archetype. And it's true. It's like I'm always in my, like, almost everything, even like martial arts. I do a lot of martial arts. I like to fight. So it's like I was stuck very much in my warrior, like do. And if you're not perfect, and if you don't do, the shadows of the warrior would come up. And so now I feel a lot more integrated, where it's not, I can be that lover to myself or other people. I can be, you know, the logical person and think things through instead of just emotionally reacting. I can be present and, you know, thinking of the future and so on and so forth. So it's just a lot more integrated as a man.
I love that, man. So here's a question I didn't tell you I'd ask you. What is one thing, or a couple of things, I don't know, what is one thing that you learned from me that I didn't actively set out to teach you? That I didn't intentionally teach you?
That's a good question. What is one thing I learned from you that you actively did not teach me?
I didn't intend to teach you. Yeah. Something you picked up.
I think just how you carry yourself with lightness. Like whenever we would do the calls, I would notice just, I'm very affected by other people's emotions and energy and so on and so forth. So just seeing how light you were with everything that you did made me want to be more light as a person. What is the expression? It's like carrying yourself with soft eyes, right? It's like everything is just very, very soft, very light, very, don't take things too seriously. Like don't react to things too much. And so that was something I learned from just having the calls with you. Like it was just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like I would almost go into the calls waiting to make something a big deal, and you just be like, oh yeah, just do this and that. I'm like, oh, okay. It wasn't big of a deal to begin with. So yeah, that was something I would say was unintentional.
All right, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, I'm pretty transparent about it. It is an energetic exchange. Any coaching relationship is an energetic exchange, and there has to be an energy exchange. So thank you for sharing that. That's actually very insightful for me. And so my last question for you, Mo, what is your message to those people watching this? What is your message to the audience watching this? What would you recommend to them or tell them to do?
I would recommend them to put their ego aside. There's always something more that you can learn. I could have easily been like, well, I'm a performance and mindset, coach myself. I don't need help. Like I do have all the tools. I like one thing I mentioned to you, I'm like, I have all of the tools. I have all of the things that I teach to my clients, but to actually do your own stuff is a different story. Right. And so you need that outside help. You need someone who's going to externally hold you accountable and guide you to doing the things that's going to help your life. And so put your ego aside, especially I see a lot of people who are like, you were just saying this yourself. And we talked about this before we started this, like people who are under 10K or under 20K per month going like, well, I'm going to try it myself first. I'm going to do this myself first. It's like, well, you're messing up the time that you could have just gotten results to begin with and not wasted that time. The ROI would have been much higher to just save your time and get someone to externally help you. So, just put that ego aside. Whether you're a business coach who's having some business troubles, don't just be like, oh, well, I'm a business coach, I don't need business help. Like, go hire a business coach. Mindset coaches, hire mindset coaches. Fitness coaches, hire fitness coaches. Like, don't be afraid of sticking, getting help just because of your quote unquote identity. And that's why I wanted to do this call, is like just pushing people to really just put their ego aside and be willing to learn more. Just be a student.
I think I'd like to second that, man. It's the same reason I have my own business coaches and mindset coaches, and I work with lots of coaches at the same time. But quite frankly, to me, it's more about practicing what we preach. So it's almost ridiculous to be a coach and expect people to work with you, but expect not to have your own coach. So to me, it's like, put your money where your mouth is. And it's also energy, right? When people are coming from that place of, I don't need to work with, so I'm fine, I'll do it on myself. They attract other people just like them. And then they get frustrated and this, that, and the other. So like, I will always work with coaches and again, like we talked about, this is something, the higher income we make, the more I see people going left, right, and center, and it's all about little nuggets. They're not looking for massive breakthroughs. You and I have connected so many times, not for this, but for like business and other things and sharing notes and this, that. So it's a much more friendlier environment or friendlier spirit at that level. But then there's only 4% of coaches who ever go above 10K per month. So the 96% of people, maybe they need to look at their egos. Maybe they need to sort of, eat humble pie. Maybe they just need to practice what they preach, quite frankly. Maybe this might upset some people, but it's reality.
Yeah. It's like a business coach if you're preaching business and growing your business and to work with you, but you've never worked with a business coach, it's like, you feel more uncertain about yourself because you haven't even invested into that. It's like, I don't mind investing into a mindset coach because I know mindset coaching works and I know that what I have is also valuable. And so why would I not invest into someone else's and try to get, like, that was my thought process. Like, if I even walk away with one thing out of this, that's huge, right? Because that's one thing that I didn't know before. Could I have learned it on my own? Maybe, but it would have taken a long time. It's like, why would I want to waste that time if my time and my life is valuable? So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Mo. Thank you for your time, man. It's been amazing. Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Just on Facebook, Mo Abbasi, Instagram, Mo Abbasi, like pretty much everywhere. Twitter, TikTok. I'm omnipresent, so just search up my name and I'll be there.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope this has inspired you. As always, I encourage you to take action. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I hope you found the video insightful I hope you found the video inspirational. I hope the video gave you hope about whatever addiction you're dealing with, whether it's porn or drugs or something else entirely. And I hope it gave you insight into the fact that everyone has addictions. It doesn't matter if you're making a lot of money. It doesn't matter if you're super successful. And addictions drag you down. I hope it gives you the power to get rid of addictions in your life. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.